Hi folks, Van Prepper here with another SAFE Act and gun news update. The Astoria Post is reporting that Queens, New York, where I was just a couple of weeks ago, has seen a significant jump in robberies, burglaries, and felony assaults in the last month. In a striking coincidence, last month, most of the aspects of the New York SAFE Act kicked in as of January 15th. So you're telling me that tighter gun control actually leads to more crime? Let me show you my shocked face. Governor Cuomo is continuing to try and back off his statement last month when he said that extreme conservatives, which he classified as anyone who opposes the SAFE Act, he included two other things in there with him, but it was or, not you had to do all three of these things to be an extreme conservative. He said you are an extreme conservative if you are opposed to abortion, you are opposed to gay marriage, or you are opposed to the SAFE Act. And he said that you do not belong in New York State. Now, he's been trying to back off that for a month because he got a lot of heat. So he is now saying that he says in a statement, I wasn't saying anyone should leave the state. Apparently, in the language of tyrant, saying that a certain person doesn't belong in your state is not the same as saying that you don't want them in your state and you think they should leave. So apparently tyrant has the same words as English, but they mean different things in the language of tyrant. Livingston and Warren counties are joining the growing list of counties here in New York State that are opposing the use of their county seal on SAFE Act paperwork. This is a growing list. I mean, they're well over 24 counties now. And this is symbolic. It's not going to change anything with the SAFE Act, but what it is going to do is it is going to leave those 3 or 4 or 5, the relatively small number of counties here in the state of New York that are not opposed to the SAFE Act, kind of on an island to absorb the heat from this by themselves. These other counties are distancing themselves from the SAFE Act, and most of them have had official votes condemning the SAFE Act and calling for the repeal of the SAFE Act. So symbolic, yes, but I think effective and important steps, yes. Christopher Keniston, who is a senior investigator for the New York State Police, says buyer beware on those New York State compliant AR-15s. If you haven't seen them, they don't have a pistol grip. They got this funky looking stock, kind of a weird looking thing. They can only hold 10 rounds. It's for people who want to say they own an AR, but really aren't going to own an AR because it lacks all the qualities that make something an AR. He says that from what he's seen, some of these appear to be compliant and others do not. The problem is that this is going to be an individual officer's discretion, and then you may or may not get arrested, and you're going to have to go in front of the judge, who may or may not have the same view of you on what's compliant or what's not. And he says, in his opinion, it'd probably just be easier to stay away. I have a totally different take on the AR-15s that are New York State compliant. They cost $1,100, and you essentially get a rifle that can't do anything that an anything more than an SKS can do. And an SKS has tons of history. It can shoot the same 10 rounds of ammunition downrange at a time, semi-automatic style, as the New York State compliant AR-15. It's built better, it's more durable, and it's got a bayonet on it. I could go out and buy 2 good SKSs and a Mosin Nagant rifle and still have some money left over for what I would pay for one of those New York State compliant ARs. I just don't get it. If I buy an AR, it'll be when they get rid of the SAFE Act, and I can get one that means something, and I can get a 30 or 100 round capacity, one of those clipazines in the ghost guns they talk about. Finally, this just came in today, and this is awesome. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided, in the case of Peruta versus San Diego, that the good cause stipulation that some places put on getting a carry conceal permit is unconstitutional. Well, thank you very much, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's what I'm talking about. You don't normally get relief at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals either if you're a gun rights guy. This is an awesome thing because now San Diego's actually going to have to appeal to the court that is never going to agree with them, the United States Supreme Court. The good cause clause and stipulation, for those who don't know, is the idea that, sure, carry conceal permits are legal here, but you've got to demonstrate to us that you have a good cause to need one. Well, do I need a good cause to defend myself? Do I need a good cause to go out and peacefully protest? Do I need a good cause to not have you come in and search my home? I thought the idea was that you needed a good cause not to give me one. Okay, this is a right, not a responsibility or something. It is a right that we are born with, and self-defense is inherent. If you say they only have a right, they can't carry concealed, and they can't open carry, obviously, in California, you're essentially saying you cannot be armed and defend yourself outside of your home. Thank you, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That is an awesome decision that came out of there today, and this is going to have some ramifications, I think, to a lot of other municipalities, places like my state that are putting the screw jobs to people. I think that what would be great is if the United States Supreme Court takes one of these cases, and eventually they will. They're considering a couple right now, and we can get a final decision that there is, the Supreme Court can issue a statement that says there is no such thing as a may issue, meaning that you could be found totally within the parameters of qualifying for a carry conceal permit, but they may issue you one, which is actually what happened here in New York with my wife. I was issued a carry conceal permit. My wife was not. And the reasoning that the officer gave her, the investigating officer, is, I'm not going to recommend you for a carry conceal permit because I don't like to do that. Well, that's pretty nonsensical. That really wasn't her job. If I had known more and had been further along in my kind of understanding of gun rights and where I am now, we would have fought that, but we didn't at the time. But that's the sort of thing. The shall issue states are where it should be. If you prove that you are not a threat, through the background check and investigation that takes place for a carry conceal permit, that you don't pose a threat to anybody, that there is no lawful reason you should not be given that permit, then you should automatically, if you want a carry conceal permit, should get the carry conceal permit. There's no reason that somebody shouldn't be able to get one if they want one and they are investigated and there's no threat there. So I am Van Prepper. That is great news. Happy shooting, everybody.